next generation is going to see the greatest tribulation. It'll come upon this generation. So James' letter could not be more timely. For those people who were being persecuted, that were being scattered abroad, and were going to be expecting the destruction of Jerusalem, it's going to be tough times. Very tough and trying times. Our section today, and we will make it through this very easy, because all we're going to talk about is trial, testing, and the tenets of faith. Easy subject. Easy subject. From verses 2 through 11. I'll be reading from the English Standard. Now I'm going to read from the New King James. My brethren, and this is right on your page, right here. Read it right off your page. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith, with no doubting. For he who doubts is like the wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Let the lowly brother glory in his exaltation, but the rich in his humiliation, because as a flower of the field he will pass away. For no sooner has the sun risen with a burning heat than it withers the grass, its flower falls, and its beautiful appearance perishes. So the rich man also will fade away in his pursuits. Is there anything difficult about that? Doubting. Nope, that's not difficult. How's that for an answer? Is there anything difficult about trials, testing, and the tenets of faith? If you believe them, yes. Yeah, that's the easy part. Yeah. My brethren. Again, this is the first time that he uses that term, my brethren. And he's going to use it over and over. So you know he's talking to Christians. My brethren. You're about to go through tribulation. All those who believe are going to suffer what? Paul said to Timothy. All who believe are going to suffer tribulation. No exceptions. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. I'm so happy I'm suffering. It's what you say every time, isn't it? I'm so happy. You're caught in a traffic jam. Now this isn't, traffic jams are not persecution, unless they're signaling you out. All Christians back up here. You're caught in a traffic jam, and you're so happy because you see the upside of it, don't you? No. You lived around the Chicago area? Oh, you're on 294. Yes. And we know it as a parking lot. And I think there's 1 hour during the day when there's not a lot of traffic on it. I haven't found that hour, but I know that there is 1 hour when there's no traffic. But you're caught in traffic, and you say, I'm so happy to be caught in a traffic jam. Right?
I've been on, and there's a time of day when it's not a parking lot. It's when everybody's heading home from work, and you can't keep up with them. I'm not kidding you. Yeah. It's fabulous.
Yeah, they must be going like 56, 57 miles an hour. Okay, verse 2, you cannot allow that to be a standalone verse. The idea is the ABC. What is above that? What is below that passage? And what's the context of this? So you can't cherry pick and say, Yes, when I fall into trials, I'm going to count it all joy. What's the context of this passage? Knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Okay? But you can't stop there. As they used to say, how many of you remember the Ginsu knives? Used to be these infomercials, the original infomercials, either the Ginsu knives or it was the chopper. What was the chopper called? The Vegematic. Vegematic. And they would get to this, but wait, there's more. It slices it, they're cutting open the aluminum can. They're doing the whole thing. Okay, the guy's cutting his finger. Oh, no, it wasn't. Wrong commercial. He says, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. But wait, there's more. Knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Okay, we want patience. But wait, there's more. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So,
You didn't do the A part of ABC.
the A,
You didn't do what comes before it.
what did come before?
It told us who it was written to, and it wasn't us.
Okay, it wasn't us. Writing to the 12 tribes of the dispersion. He's writing to his brethren. He's writing to Christians, those of faith. He's not writing to Jews.
But it's Jews of a particular situation. No.
He's writing to all Christians. He's writing to brethren. How many Jews do we have here? Okay, then I'm not talking to you. He's writing to brethren. Is James a Christian? Who's James' brethren? All Christians, including Jewish Christians. So he's not singling out any particular group, but he is singling out the brethren. That's who he's writing to. Don't be sorry. You're not in England or Australia.
Back to your sermon today, it talked about it's not right to take the children's bread, and that he was only the sheep of, I'm sorry,
He was only sent to the lost sheep of the children of Israel.
Israel.
Mhm.
So if he's dying for all Christians, then why did he say that?
Because the time had not come yet while Jesus was still alive. He came to the Jews first. The Jews rejected him, but on the day of Pentecost, it opened up to everyone. And came to fruition when he saw the Ethiopian eunuch, which took care of Africa, then Cornelius, which took care of the Hellenistic people from Japheth. So Shem, Ham, and Japheth all are brought back together in the book of Acts. So, but he is talking to all the brethren here. Knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Anybody here like to work out?
Unfortunately, I lost my treadmill, but yeah, I love it.
You lost your treadmill. Okay.
But it stopped working. I had to give it away.
Would it be safe to say that most of us were in gym class at one time in our life? You go to school, I don't know if you start in August or you start in September. The first week in gym class was Moida. It was Moida. Push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, you're running. And by the end of the week, your muscles are simply, they're like concrete. Not because they're strong, but because you're sore. But what was the outcome of consistent and regular exercise? Put you in shape. Pain and suffering, yes, yes. Your gym teachers did this to you because they like to see you suffer. No. It wants you to be in shape. Why is it that baseball goes through spring training? Why is it that football goes through summer camp? Why is it that basketball goes through whatever they go through? Why do they always start weeks and months before the season? To get you in shape. And you're sore in the beginning, but you're working towards the goal of being in shape. Who had a hand up? Yes.
It kind of reminds me of one of the lessons I had at one of my old how are diamonds made? Under pressure. They go through so much pressure and they're compressed and it's hard, but they come out as something beautiful and sharp and strong. Same with a sword. Swords are forged through blazing heat and just pounding and molding, but they come out sharp and useful.
Mhm.
So you're gonna go through pressure, but you're gonna come out as something strong and beautiful.
Okay, and that's an excellent example, because it talks about the testing of your faith, the trying of something. Any metallurgists here? My neighbor had a metallurgist. Okay, very good. And the idea of being able to harden iron takes a couple of different processes. In the last few decades, they have used incredibly cold temperatures to harden metal, which I'd have thought, well, you can only do it through heat. But I read articles on it. Is that true, Rob? You don't know? Okay. But in metal, they heat it up to a very, my neighbor who used to do this would show me how it's done, that there was a certain color when it was heated up that it would achieve that, and then it was plunged into oil, sometimes water, but it was a hardening. And when it goes from one extreme to the other, it lines up all of the whatever it is in there that needs to be lined up. You can tell I'm really an expert on this, can't you?
The grain structure.
Yes, the grain structure, exactly. Okay? And that's how it's done. And that's how you turn metal from just being able to bend when you hit it on something to making it so that it will hold an edge.
I'm just sitting here thinking about the importance of counting all joy. You can have, kind of like what Dave's describing, you can have the heat, you can have the pressure, and I can have two entirely different results depending as to your attitude towards what you're going through. Philippians 2, doing all things without murmuring and complaining. Whenever you have Paul and Silas in prison with a good attitude versus if they've been there with a bad attitude, entirely different. You can have the same heat, same pressure on one Christian, and it destroys their faith because they're not looking to the end goal, and then you have another Christian that they're just striving through.
Okay? Exactly. You can get two different results. It can destroy someone or it can build it up. James writes this ahead of time, telling you, when it comes, I want you to count it joy. And there's a reason I want you to count it as joy. And he explains it, because there's a process that has to be worked through. And who wants us to go through that process? The Lord. Okay? James, by the inspiration and the movement of the Holy Spirit, is recording this for us. And it is true in the first century, and it's true in the 21st century, that it is going to produce patience. Patience. Where have we heard that before?
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, greatness.
Yes. That's called the fruits of the Spirit. I knew it was there somewhere. I knew it. And they're always wanting us to have patience. Patience is a virtue. Possess it if you can. Always found in women, but seldom found in men. That's the one Janine quotes to me all the time. Yes. I think, yeah, it's funny to you. Funny to you, not so funny to me. Pardon me, I have to get my sheet here. Yes. Usually one gender says it to the other. But he wants us to have a positive attitude towards this, not to become discouraged. And why does a positive attitude towards suffering, why is it a good idea? He doesn't come right out and say, I want you to have the power of positive thinking, because that's Norman Vincent Peale. Someone said Peel's appalling and Paul's appealing. It's clever. But he wants us to see the good in it. The testing, the kataragamatsai, looks like maybe a Japanese name. He says it's going to work out something in you. And patience, hupomone, trying to work out that patience in you. And once you can see that something is a means to an end, it's much easier to grasp it. That way, you don't become discouraged under pressure. When you realize that there's an end to it. If you don't see the reason for exercising, if you're going out for a team, if you can't see it, because how many kids say, I know how to throw a ball, but they won't be coached. You know how far that person makes it? Not as far as the one who says, I'm willing to be coached. I'm willing to let someone teach me, even though I may know, I'm willing to be taught so that I may become better in this. Katie, you had your hand up? Okay, stretch away.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Hebrews chapter 10, let's consider one another to stir up love and good works. The way you go through your trials can encourage me. The way I go through my trials can encourage you, or vice versa. So it's not just about me. You know, if I'm going through things with a joyous attitude or counting it all joy, that's not just helping me, that's helping the people around me and vice versa.
Okay. Yes, we can be encouraged by one another, just as it says in Hebrews 10:24. And what kind of trials are we talking about here? Various trials. So nothing real specific, which means whatever you're going through could fit into that, couldn't it? If Jan Malik were here and I were to ask him, and I'm glad Jan's not here because that might embarrass him if I were to call on him. But if Jan Malik were here and were to tell you about the various trials that he goes through as a farmer, oh, there's Jan. I probably couldn't relate to that, even though I used to be a herdsman on a dairy farm. Yes, getting up one more time than you've been knocked down. For in dealing with drought, too much rain, pests, weeds, cows getting out, he has his trials. And then I could talk about Gabe. Gabe, I'm going to talk about you, but go ahead.
Well, actually, kind of adding on to that, it's probably one of my favorite movie quotes. It's, you try, you fail, but the only true failure is the one who stops trying.
Is that from Star Wars?
No, Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion.
Out of all the movies, can you believe it?
Somehow I can, yes. So, the various trials takes into whatever we're going to go through. And understanding that there is I'll go from my right to your left, so it's lineal for you. So that somewhere in here, those various trials are working towards patience. But wait, there's more. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And how are we made perfect? Through Jesus' blood. We're made perfect in that. And perfect, in a sense, if I were to look up in Webster's dictionary, perfect means without flaw. But in the context of the New Testament, perfection leads us to believe something towards maturity. So if you're looking to be flawless, good luck with that. But if you're looking to be mature, and not just mature as I'm grown up, mature as it pertains to age, because hopefully we're all going to mature as it comes to age. But a maturity in Christ is something altogether different. And that's what James is alluding to here. But let patience, when you let something happen, what do? It's another synonym for let. Allow. You allow patience to have its work. Don't fight it, like I always do. But let it have its perfect work. Perfect work. Complete, lacking nothing. Perfect, teleos. All the pieces are fitting together. Complete, halakleros. You are as you need to be and without blemish. Lacking nothing, not lagging behind in anything. So he gives three ideas of this, what it means to be perfect. Perfect, complete, and lacking nothing. Now he shifts the gear here and says, and I like to cherry pick this here in verse 5 as a standalone verse. And it's unfair that I do that because I tend to say, well, wisdom. But this one is linked to what we have just read. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God. Well, why are you asking God for wisdom? Well, because this is what you're going through. Verses 2, 3, and 4. You're having trials. You're having the testing of your faith. It's leading to patience. And patience is leading to be perfect, complete, and lacking nothing. But you're going to need the help of God to make it through. Anybody here tough enough to stand on your own on this? I'm going to take my hand down too then. Nobody else raised their hand? Good. Yes, if you lack wisdom. If you lack the wisdom of how to get through this, ask God. And how does God do it? Oh, I want to hear this answer because I don't know. Slowly. Oh, okay. In His timing. Let's get specific. Liberally and without reproach. I want something specific. I want to know when I go through this problem that this is going to hit this mark, and this. No, I got to go the other way. This mark, and this mark. I'm not going to know.
You just got to have faith, and believe me, I've been struggling a lot, and it's hard, so I know it's easier said than done, and I was actually going to ask, well, what do you do if you can't see the outcome?
What do you do if you can't see the outcome? Anybody here always see the outcome? You're in good hands. You are in good hands.
That's where faith comes in, because if it weren't for the trials and tribulations, we would not rely on, and we would not long for Christ, and we would not long for heaven.
And the only outcome that we can see is that we are anticipating that this patience is going to work itself in that I will become more and more perfect, lacking nothing. That's the end that you can see. Getting from point A to point B, that's the hard part. And the best you can do, the absolute best, is to pray for wisdom. Pray for wisdom. I don't know how you're going to do it, but Pat's going to tell us. Yes. Yes, you must do your part. You can't just sit there and say, okay, osmosis. And that's not that doctor that has his own show.
I always say, God gives you the strength to do it, but you got to do the moving.
1 Corinthians 10:13. 1 Corinthians 10:13. And how many times have we quoted that? Here we are. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and He will not let you be tempted beyond your ability, but with temptation He will also provide a way of escape that you may be able to endure it.
So to paraphrase it, God helps those who help themselves,
Ooh.
Or am I boiling it down way too much?
Maybe way too much. But it is one that many people will quote as if it were in the Bible. God helps those who help themselves. There's a sense of which there is some truth to that. But to the extent that we say, I got this. Don't worry about it, God. You concentrate on somebody else who really needs help. I got this. No, that's when it's carried too far. But Diane's going to help us understand this.
Read verse 12.
Verse 12. Is there a verse 12 in that? Let anyone who thinks that he stands, take heed lest he fall. Yeah. The ABC, isn't it? Absolutely. Romans chapter 5 and verse 3. Acts, Romans. And see if you recognize this. Now remember, James has written his. Romans chapter 5 and verse 3, Paul says, not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. Wait a minute. That right there is plagiarism. One of them stole it. Because they're both saying the same thing, aren't they? And you know what happens when two writers write the same thing in Scripture? They're reinforcing one another. Because that's what Paul's writing. He's writing the same thing that James says. That there is a process that is leading to a higher degree of faith and spiritual maturity. And that's how you have to view it, is that it is leading somewhere. Otherwise, Zechariah, we quit. It's just too much.
Zechariah gave us the same statement.
Yeah, about 5 minutes ago.
It's right here.
Oh, that's Zechariah.
It's right here in the French Quarter.
What?
That was James, never mind. I thought I saw something in here that said Zechariah.
You could have. Zechariah 14. Zechariah 14. Zechariah 14.
Is it?
Okay. And then we have
Maybe it wasn't here.
2 Corinthians chapter 4. And why do you think that the writers have to use this over and over to us? Why don't we get it just if they write it once? 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16. So we do not lose heart, though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light, oh, here it is. This is the part you love to hear. Our light, momentary affliction. Isn't that how we view our trials? This light, momentary. Pat, is that how you felt? That it was a light, momentary affliction?
No, I just kept praying.
Just kept praying. But Paul sees the big picture here. And he's not saying, your problems, they're nothing. They're nothing. Wait till he gets to chapter 14 of 2 Corinthians, chapter 12, pardon me, where he talks about this thorn in the flesh. He's not comparing. He's not saying that they are minor. But listen to what he says. This light momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. What we're experiencing now in this affliction cannot be compared to the weight of glory that awaits us. And why is it that Jesus went to the cross? He endured that for the purpose that we might share in His glory. So there's a consistency that goes on that you can go to in point after point in Scripture. Pray. God will answer how? We don't know. Because if we knew how, why would you pray? If you knew how you could make it on your own strength, what do you need God for? But you want to do it according to God's will. that this testing, that this unbelievable heat and pressure that you are enduring now is going to lead to something even greater. And when he says, rejoice, that is the easy part. Really it is. It's so easy, right? You all know it's easy. No, it isn't. It isn't. But he wants us to know that there is something waiting on the other side should we endure. And in each of the 7 churches in Revelation, those who overcome, those who conquer, those who, anybody wearing Nike shoes? And what does Nike mean? Victory. Nikao. Nikao. That's where Nike got its name for its shoes. Victory. Greek. Those who overcome, those who nikao. Those who overcome, those who are victorious, which means you got to make it through. You can't quit.
Winners never quit and quitters never win.
My 9th grade phys ed teacher, Mr. Sharon, Carl Sharon, who's in the Michigan Hall of Fame, by the way, played for the Buffalo Bills. But you didn't come here to learn that. But there's always got to be the caveat. Caveat in Latin means beware. It could be, that's tapioca. But let him ask in faith with no doubting, for he who doubts is like the wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. Same language that Jude uses. They're brothers, by the way, as near as we can tell. Like the wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. But let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Then he goes into verse 9 here, which comes in here. Let the lowly brother glory in his exaltation. Who's the lowly brother? What's he alluding to, this lowly brother? And he's going to come back to this comparison several times in the book of James. The lowly brother, the poor person. Let the poor person, what? Lowly brother glory in his exaltation?
It's kind of like when you're invited to a fancy meal, don't presume that you should sit in the best seat. Go sit in one of the worst seats so that you can be exalted when the host says, hey, you come sit up here. Versus the opposite.
Where did you get that at? It's in the Bible. Jesus taught it. Solomon said, yeah, way to go. I'm going to get you on that one. Let the lowly brother glory in his exaltation. What's it mean to exalt something? Lift it up. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Really? Now, we know the poor in spirit, he's not necessarily talking about monetary, but there's the idea that carries with it. Those who have less will be exalted. But, here's the other one. But the rich in his humiliation. Wait a minute. We're watching commercials all the time. Invest in gold. It's the only thing that's going to last. Invest in property. They're not making any more of that. It's all about the investment. He's going to get to... You didn't hear that, did you? Yeah, we got lots of time. Let the rich in his humiliation, because as a flower of the field, he will pass away. For no sooner has the sun risen with a burning heat than it withers the grass, its flower falls, and its beautiful appearance perishes. So the rich man will also fade away in his pursuits. Oh, boy. Who's not rich here? Oh, why isn't Mike Kern here? You know he would raise his hand, wouldn't he? He likes to play the devil's advocate. Is anybody here not rich?
what are we talking about? Rich with what?
In the context of this, he is talking about money, wealth, possessions. And when everyone here is in the top, what percentile in the world? In the top 1%? Most of us in this room are the top 1% in the world? What if he's talking to us? No, he couldn't be talking to us, that's them. He seems to take a detour off what he's been talking about. But it's going to be one of those that we lay the groundwork for the rest of the book, because he's going to keep on talking, keep on coming back to this idea of wealth versus poverty and how it affects our lives and how we use it. The lowly brother glory in his exaltation. And how does that come back to verse 2? And what do we read about that happened to the Christians in the first century? They were going to endure tribulation. And it says, unless you receive the mark on your forehead and on your hand, which is Roman history teaches us that, you cannot, unless you're going to make sacrifices to the Roman gods with, what's this smoke? Incense. Had a senior moment there. Unless you burn incense to the gods, you cannot trade in the market. That is going to lead to your poverty. You can't buy and sell. You can't eat. You're into poverty. Your trials makes ours seem somewhat small sometimes, doesn't it? My stock portfolio took a hit this year. Went from way up around $800 down to around $750. I'm joking, of course. But this 9, 10, and 11 ties into those various trials. He's saying just because you people have taken a hit in your poverty, think about the rich, they're going to fade away just like the grass. But the poor, you are going to be exalted in your trials. Questions or comments? We don't have any time, thanks. I know you're ready to eat. Comments or questions before we close? Let's eat.